This is APEX1RADIO, broadcasting from the United States of America. You're listening to the maiden edition of 2021 elections menu. And on the show today, we are receiving Irman Malik. He is a candidate for the position of a school board, and he'll be telling us more about that. He now joins us once again. Welcome back, Malik.
Thank you, Ernest. I appreciate that. Yep.
Okay, right. So we'll just go ahead to talk about politics this time and how you got into it. But before we get there, are you confirming that your constituency is Dublin?
Yes, Dublin is the suburb of central Ohio. Columbus City. Columbus is the capital of the state of Ohio, and Dublin is one of its suburb. Yep.
Okay. How would you situate Dublin geographically in the Columbus metropolis?
It's kind of more of a northwest suburb of Columbus. There is part of Columbus City Incorporation that also is served by the Dublin School Board school district as well. So there's part of or segment of Columbus City that falls under the jurisdiction of Dublin School District as well. So, yeah.
All right. Okay, that's good. So, what is peculiar about this city, this constituency? Is there something which each time Dublin is mentioned, that is what comes to mind?
Yeah. So Dublin is very much like a very, I would say, well situated, economically as well as social fabrically, in the overall Central Ohio, district or Central Ohio geography. There is a growing diversity. Dublin happens to be the largest Irish population outside of Ireland in the United States. Dublin is that location. In addition, there's a very large presence of Japanese community, as the breakdown of overall demographic is about 80% Caucasian Americans and 20% growing diversity from all different walks of and colors of life. We have people from Asian American community, especially China and Chinese community and Japanese community. We have people from Muslim communities, all different spectrums, like Turkish, Arab, Middle Eastern, as well as the South Asian population. When I say South Asian, which is specifically Indian, Bangladeshi, and Pakistani, communities. They have a pretty large presence in that 20% diversity of Dublin as well. And then, of course, the African American and the Hispanic community has a pretty large footprint in Dublin as well. Because, as I mentioned, Dublin kind of also have guts into not only the Franklin County piece and have the city of Columbus segment of that geography in Dublin, but also we have Union County and the Delaware County, which are also the subsequent counties next to Franklin County. Their part also is included in the Dublin School Board's footprint. So it's a pretty large district. I would say probably about 80 to 90,000 voting footprint. And historically, it has been a very kind of like I would say like I want to use the right word here. Demographically, it is definitely a city that is increasing, is witnessing or experiencing a lot of increment in the diversity overall. So, yeah.
Right. Okay, we will come back to talk about the Dublin School District because that is your domain. But before we even get there, what you're doing is politics. How did you get into politics? For how long have you been in politics?
Yes, so as I mentioned earlier, I'm not a seasoned politician. I've never ran for an office before. This is the first time I'm actually seeking an elected position. I'm actually currently serving on a lot of nonprofit boards as well as a lot of government nonprofit appointed positions. Currently, I'm actually serving as an appointed commissioner for the city of Columbus Mayor's Community Relation Department. Mayor Ginter is the the mayor of the city of Columbus, and under him there is a commission called the Community Relation Commission, and I'm one of the appointed commissioner, serving a second term to serve the neighborhoods of Franklin County overall. In addition, I'm also serving as an advisory board commissioner. I won't call it a commissioner, but it's an advisory board director or member to the chief of polices of Dublin Police Department, Justin Pies's, advisory council. And that we are basically serving our second year right now. A bunch of us who were appointed and approved the appointment. The appointment was done by the city of Dublin as well. So yeah, basically, these are some of the volunteer role plays that I've been doing for the last 25 years in different capacities. In addition, I'm also an interfaith and a outreach and a multicultural leader of Central Ohio, and serve again on multiple other nonprofit organizations, which are focused around the aspect of building bridges between the diverse spectrum and the diverse traditions of our city, or I would say probably the Central Ohio geography overall. Franklin County happens to be one of the largest populous counties of Ohio right now. Our population is about 1.1 plus million. If you look into the overall, the population of Central Ohio, which is Franklin County, and the suburban cities that tie into the geography. So definitely, there's a very large footprint of immigrant population. Columbus also happens to be the second largest hub for the Somali immigrant population in the United States after Minneapolis. A rough census data says that there are about 200,000 Somali families who are in
Right.
the state of Minnesota, Minneapolis area, and Columbus happens to be the second largest because they're, according to the last census numbers, there are about 75,000 Somalis who call immigrant Somalis or first generation Somalis who call Columbus as their home as well. So that brings a lot of option for diversity and work that is related to diversity, equity, and inclusion that kind of is present in our beautiful city here in Central Ohio. Yep.
So, can you explain why you decided to run for office? By the way, tell us the exact position you are running in for.
Okay, so I'm running for the Board of Education position. There are 5-member Board of Education for this Dublin School District.
Okay.
The three positions are coming for re-election. Initially, there were 6 candidates to begin with, 3 incumbents and 3 new candidates, including myself. And one of the candidates, actually, who was one of the incumbent candidates, he actually dropped out. So we were basically 5 candidates left for 3 positions. But right before the petition, we got like 3 more candidates who joined the race. So at this point, the school race is with 8 candidates and 3 positions, and this is the most contested election in the history of Dublin School District. I mean, normally the elections for the council as well as for the school board are not contested, and even if they're contested, they're not this contested, which basically shows that there's a lot of willingness on behalf of the community to serve in these role plays. And again, especially a lot of this interest is coming from the marginalized community as well as the immigrant community, and also communities who have been in the past not represented in the decision-making process. So this is, again, the American, I would say, the change or the delta that is happening not only in Dublin, but pretty much all over America, where, again, as I said, the immigrant and the diverse population are now incrementally increasing in their footprint in the suburban America overall as well. So it's just not Dublin; it's other suburbs like Gahanna, which is also kind of seeing, which is like 2 or 3 suburbs right above Dublin in the subsequent geography. They're also kind of seeing a similar participation where there are 3 seats for board of education in their school district, and there are 9 candidates in that race. So of course, as I said, there's a lot of participation and engagement that the community has undertaken. I'll take you a little bit back of where all this is kind of spinning on from as well. In the last 4 or 5 years, especially during the presidential administration, I would say the previous presidential administration, there has been a lot of division and a lot of intentional decisiveness that has been plugged into the communal politics, and because of that, people have definitely having an interest to serve is one aspect, but then also having a more political agenda driven politics on the local races is also coming into play. And I've seen this this evolution of our local societies in majority of America that happened or that occurred in last, I would say, 5 or 6 years. But again, I like to see the glass half full. I also take it as a positive opportunity that so many people are wanting to run for these local elections or local positions because they want to serve and they want to get more engaged. They want to get more participation and bring transparent communication and decision making in the forefront. So I think there's a lot of goodwill, definitely, and I don't I think that's where my encouragement comes into play as well. That I feel very compelled and encouraged that I'm participating with so many other great candidates who equally believe in the community service. And then of course there's the political and then agenda driven politics as well for which some of the candidates or so for some of the other races like we are witnessing as well. And of course we don't have to talk about those races. We're going to focus today about my race for Dublin School Board. So
okay, that's interesting. We're speaking with Iman Malik. He is candidate for the Dublin School Board, and he says he's one of the 8 candidates you said, right?
yeah, that's right.
Right.
Yep.
Interesting. So before we even continue, I would like us to use this time to educate the public a little bit. It's not everybody who knows how a school board runs. So what does a school board do actually?
So the school board, majority of the school boards around, at least in Central Ohio, are either 5 or 7 member school boards. The school board's responsibility is to basically have relationship established with the teachers union, which basically takes care of onboarding and hiring a lot of teachers for the district. There are 3 high schools in our district and 1 innovative learning center, which is called the Emerald Campus. And then we have multiple middle and elementary schools as well. We just recently opened another middle school in the newer development part of Dublin, which is definitely in that direction that population growth is happening. So with there definitely the growth and the the ratio balancing of the population and these per school per school plus the population aspect of the attendance of schools. All that is managed by the school board as well. The school board basically it develops its strategies. You also look into the budgeting part of the different schools. As I mentioned, there are a lot of schools. There are about 17,000 students in our school district. So the different programs and the funding aspect and the budgeting aspect, all that is managed or controlled or basically decided in the different decisions that made to grow those aspects are done by the school board members. In addition, there are other opportunities where if it's adaptation of technology and the curriculum modification and again building the tax levies where because a lot of our housing taxes actually goes towards the school board. So all that is kind of managed and kind of I was spearheaded in a more consensual way between creating a dynamics of consensus between the public and the constituents. That is all kind of managed by the school board as well. So the school board is very important race. It's not a lot of perception is not that they're not as important as the Senate or the Congress or the presidential race, but if we are talking about the future of our children, then definitely it is the most important race on the ballot. And that's the reason why a lot of parents get very engaged, because at the end of the day we choose the cities that we live in according to the strength of the education in that environment. And Dublin happens to be pretty very well doing overall in the state of Ohio. There are 980 school districts in 88 counties of state of Ohio, and we are in the top 20 percentile. My focus is that we have the resources, we have the expertise, we have the skill set in our school district, and I want to realign those opportunities to take us from 20 percentile to top 10 percentile in the state of Ohio, and also improve our national rankings as well. So, as I mentioned, that we have very hard and skilled educators, teachers, and we also have very caring and engaging parents, and then we also have very nourishing and very brightly futured children, and we all have to work together. There's an African proverb that always fall back on that it takes a village to raise a child, and my philosophy and my interest is that we all have to find partnerships, alliances, and opportunities to create that village for our children, for each and every child in our district, that we can all work together and move forward. So, when our children move out of high school, whether they go towards college, whether they go towards their professional life, or whether they start their families, they should have enough skill sets, enough empowerment, and enough exposure of a globalized world that they can create a Dublin, whether they stay in Ohio or whether they go to any other parts of the world. So that is my philosophy, that we have to bring the top-notch level of skill sets and top-notch level of opportunities for our children, so they are ready for stepping out in the globalized world and be successful. Whether they become, again, whether they continue on in their college education, or working life dynamics, or if they start their family right after school as well. So again, that is my focus, that we need to empower and train our children, and we have to put our differences aside as adults. There's a lot of sometimes ambiguities and controversies and conspiracies we as adults, as community members, often at times get hung up on. My focus is to create the atmosphere and culture of trust and deliberation, where each and every member, each and every parent and taxpayer should be heard, and then have the opportunity to come to the table, talk about their concerns, and then we consensually, as a community of 17,000 students and the households of 80 plus thousand households, sit together and find ways in which we can move forward in a synergetic way.
Now, that is very interesting, but prior to you wanting to run, has this not been the practice? Have parents not been coming to air their grievances? Otherwise, what are some of the problems which the Dublin School District faces?
So definitely, no process, no community, or no system is perfect. It is as good as the participation, as much engagement the community brings forward. We have been Dublin School District, because a lot of people have put a lot of hard work into creating the atmosphere and the platform of growth. So I want to work as a complement and as a supplement to all the great work that has already been done, and then again take us to the next level. That is my philosophy. These are thankless positions where a lot of selflessness have to be dedicated, and a lot of intrinsic vision comes into play, and people who actually serve on school boards normally come with those values. But unfortunately, what has happened in last quite some time is that and again, this is not an issue for Dublin, this is an issue for a lot of suburban American communities, that the growing diversity or the growing immigrant community, unfortunately, is not represented or not fully engaged into the decision-making process. We don't have a seat at the table. And there's that old philosophy that our children believe what they see. So if our children who are growing in coming from different parts of the world, or from different ethnic groups and cultures and traditions from different seven continents of the world, when they don't see that there are teachers, or there are educators, or there are leaders at council level or at the school board level that they can see the reflection in, then they will probably not get encouraged to go in that dynamic of professionalism or in that dynamic of community service. So we have to promote that. We have to bring that representation and that the seat at the table, so our children can then feel part of that participation as well. And in now or in future, have the courage or have the aptitude to kind of go into civic engagement positions as well. So unfortunately, as I mentioned, that this is not an issue of suburban Ohio. This is an issue that is kind of happening all over America, where the immigrant community growing into suburban townships and communities unfortunately don't see a representation at the table or engagement that is at large. So I think that has sparked a lot of interest. As I'm kind of running in this race since January, I've seen and talked to a lot of people, coming from similar backgrounds like myself, either international students or immigrant students or immigrant, community members who have been here for, as the new Americans or as first or second generation American. They are also getting more encouragement to participate. And as I mentioned earlier, there's also a component that, the last presidential administration also sparked, and that is, it has the political views have divided the country quite a bit between the red and the blue lines. The school board races are nonpartisan, but of course, people still, associate themselves to certain parties' aptitudes and certain parties', ideologies. But I want to see everything above that. In my position as or my interest as running as a school board member, I want to see, a united front in our community. As President Biden says, there's no red, there's no blue America, there's only United States of America. And, we have to bring that communal, cultural, comprehensive platform back in our, local offices, and that aptitude, which again, unfortunately has been sparked up during the last presidential administration, that needs to be rectified. We need to bring the components of empathy, trust building, and a culture where we can all work together. Because at the end of the day, that's what our Pledge of Allegiance says, or our national anthem says: "United we stand, and divided we fall." We have to bring back our values into our practices, because at the end of the day, yes, I mean there are other aspects of politics that we can participate, like foreign policy or national level policy in the federal government. But when it comes to our children, I think we have to keep it clean and authentic and honest, because we are working to provide our children with the future, a promising future, that that they can continue to build the outreach and the strength of America as the strongest democracy in the world. And we have to pass the baton to enable and empowered next generation. And that is my focus is that we need to bring those values back, so we can all continue to call America the strongest democracy and the beacon of hope for the rest of the world. So I hope that answered your question, Ernest. Sorry, it is a longer, rambling
Definitely.
answer.
Definitely.
Right, so,
Right. So, quickly, tell me about your campaign. How has it been going? Do you campaign just like politicians do? Do you go out to the streets, talk to people, just like politicians would do?
yes. So definitely a school board, as I mentioned, is not a kind of as big of a race as a senator or Congress race, but still, like the aptitude and the basic guiding principles are very much to follow the same aspect. You host events, you meet and greet people, you find opportunities to build your name recognition, and then of course you have your material, like your campaign material. And especially if you're living in a social media era, so you have to build a website and a social media presence: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I personally have stayed away from Twitter because Twitter kind of gets more engaging on more national and regional level kind of politics. So since this is more focused around the local politics, I reside or resort to Instagram and Facebook mostly, and then of course I have a website presence as well.
Okay.
Then of course beside that you have to fundraise as well. These races, they get as I mentioned earlier, we have
Mm-hmm.
8 candidates and 3 spots. So these races are pretty competitive right now.
Mm-hmm.
So people are raising. So you have to fundraise. You have to reach out to people for their support and their commitment to help you and volunteer for your campaign, and also help you with the financial contributions as well. For the school board race, there is no actually capping how much a person can donate. But
Mm-hmm.
again, whatever you can get from the constituents, and it's not limited only to the constituents in the district. You can get as long as people are nationalized residents or citizens of the country, they can contribute towards your campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, for my campaign is also the very same as well. My friends, my family, people that have worked in different capacities in professional arena as well as in community setups, they are sending their contributions. They are volunteering time as well. The people are hosting events in their backyards or their homes and inviting myself and then their group of friends to kind of build a name recognition and a connection. In addition, we will be starting, go out and vote, kind of like, door-to-door knocking here in about a week or so. This was a long weekend, so we
Okay.
wanted to not bother our volunteers for the long
Okay.
weekend.
That's
So
understood.
starting,
So now,
sorry.
let me take you back a little bit to this. You are going in for this election at a time when the school districts are undergoing, a lot of difficulties. This is a peculiar, time.
Right.
We have students who go to school in an atmosphere of COVID-19. It's really difficult to manage the situation. People are not safe. The students are not safe. The teachers are not. Even though there is mandatory mask wearing in schools, that too is not a guarantee that we will not have the spread of the virus. The virus is not gone yet.
Right.
What mindset do you have at this time? Do you think that this was the right time for you to go in for this? For this, do you feel really comfortable doing this at this time, or at some point you have some regrets?
I think the COVID-19, it has been a global issue and it continues to be a global issue. And you're right, this virus is not going away anytime soon. We have to find ways to, adapt, create a lifestyle that we can adapt to the new change or the new normal. And again, we are hoping that as the vaccination kind of advances in the in the performances and the efficacies of the vaccinations improve, then definitely we will eventually get to that green zone where the pre-COVID lifestyle most likely will flash back as well. Definitely, it was a very tough decision for the school board districts all over through the state of Ohio, as well as the countrywide, and I'm sure in other parts of the world as well. That what should we go back to school or keep it hybrid or keep it remote? All those were like big questions, and I'm sure like with the consult of the Franklin County Health Department and the global, the national pandemic research institutions and the medical staffers that have been engaged with the with all major offices at state level, city level, as well as the national level. A lot of consult has been taken into consideration before we reopen the schools. Now, some of the school districts, they have reopened themselves, and they have made mandatory mask requirements, whereas Dublin took a little bit different approach, and we have taken the approach, or at least the school board took the approach that mask in on the buses or mask in general gathering areas in schools are mandatory, but as far as mask in classrooms or in certain other aspects of school, they are basically optional. So if children who are vaccinated, and the parents are comfortable, then masks are basically optional. If they want to wear it, well and good. If not, well and
Okay.
good as well. But based on the new increment in the cases, there's definitely a fallback protocol that if the cases increases, or if certain kind of contact traceability is witnessed, then of course they take all the necessary precautions that are part of the protocol and the policy that the school district has agreed upon. The issue, I personally feel, I'm a pro mask. I definitely feel like we have to keep it pro mask until and unless we come in, get entirely into a green zone. And the reason for that is because the children under 12 years of age are not vaccinated, not majority. I mean, we have started looking into that aspect, but we are far behind on that. In addition, we also have children who are junior, or who are like in the middle and high schools, and also some of the supporting staff as well as the teachers who might have like underlying health conditions, which may not make them very safe around people who may be vaccinated, because according to the current national children's children's institution on the medical side, they have actually found out that the Delta variant is you can be a carrier or you can get impacted by it, whether you are vaccinated or whether you're not vaccinated. The possibilities are pretty equal. So it's better to protect yourself and your loved ones and your community by wearing masks, and especially the public areas. So from that, sorry, go ahead. You were saying something.
Okay, thank you so much for that response. We are gradually basically moving to the end of the interview. My last question to you, if not the last but one, would be: what contributions have you made to your community so far, which will warrant you to want to pick up another position and be trusted?
Yeah. So definitely, thank you for asking that. And if I can say, all the listeners and all the people, especially in Dublin, and those who want to help us, get elected, and also those who are supporting us financially, you can go to our website at www.electimranmalik.com. That's my first name, IMRAN, and last name Malik, MALIK.com. And that pretty much has everything that I've done in the community in the last 25 years. I have been, the finalist in 2019 for the Community Hero Award by the Columbus Dispatch. I was one of the finalists, as well as in 2015, I was honored the Jefferson Award by the Channel 10 news station in Columbus. In addition, I've also been recognized for the work that I've done, at a national level by ISNA, which is the Islamic Society of North America, which is the largest umbrella organization for representing the Muslim community in Canada and USA. I was honored with the Community Outreach Award as well. So, my contributions have been very much into community service, into bridge building, as well as building people together. I have done that successfully, both in my enterprise world as a professional in the program management industry, in the telecom industry, as well as in my personal life as a community leader who worked across faith, cultural, spiritual, and the civic engagement boundaries for the last 25 years. So definitely, there has been name recognition that I've already established. And again, it's not something that I want to ride the tide on that. It is just that, public service or community service has been my, part of spiritual growth and as well as cultural growth. I give a lot of credit to my parents, who actually, as I mentioned, growing up in Bahrain, they did not held any social or any political position, but they were always out there advocating for people's right, and especially the children's, care and, patronage as well, whether they were children of our community or whether they were children of community of, at large diversities in Bahrain. So my parents have been, very pivotal in that role play, and I've seen them doing, because their contribution to the community and the society, especially children, did not see any biases, whether, as I mentioned, they were from our community or from not our community, from our cultural tradition or faith tradition or not. My parents actually did not hold back when it came to helping children and other community members who always needed help. So I want to continue living the legacy of my parents. I lost my dad last year, right before COVID. So that was one of the, contemplation point for myself, was to continue living his legacy. I have been super engaged with the community work since 2000, early 2000s. And I lost my mother in 2009, and that was a commitment I made to continue living her legacy. And now in 2019, when I lost my dad, it's more of continuation of living both of their legacies, for the values that they have instilled in me. And this is what my parents taught me, and I want to teach my children by demonstrating the values of community service and community engagement, and hoping that they can pass it on to their children as well. So again, this is more of a spiritual connection as well for me to get engaged. On top of that, I've seen and I've proven expertise in last 25 years where I've been a bridge builder and I've been a community leader where that has been entrusted by the support of communities all around different spectrums of diversity.
Mhm.
My hopes are that we can continue to build these partnerships. And I mentioned every community, every society have their ups and downs, and we are currently feeling that divisiveness, that division of ideologies and thought processes. And of course, coming out of this 18 months of pandemic, people have been, there's definitely, components of frustration, and then components of loss and suffering as well that is coming into a lot of different ways in which people are participating. So my hopes are that, my expertise, my professional expertise, my personal expertise, and my passion and vision for authentically bringing people together will be a value that people can see, and hopefully get us elected to, with the honor and trust to serve them in this role play as well. Again, I want to run a very authentic, honest, sincere, and dignified campaign. I want to, again, see beyond all party lines, see beyond all spectrums, because my passion is to serve each and every child in our district and then empower them to be a globalized, successful citizen when they go to the next level of
Okay,
life.
the message has definitely gone across, and we definitely will come back to you before a polling
Thank you.
day. Thank you so much for joining us. But just before you go away, Iman, Malik, how does your campaign look like? What is the next activity on your program?
Excellent. So thank you for giving me that opportunity to say a few words on that as well. Our next set of activities are, a lot of friends are actually hosting a coffee time, tea time in their backyard, inviting a lot of community. Dublin is a pretty big district. So, of course, we have friends and the community support all over Dublin who are helping us organize those events. We will be having some campaign events as well. Next weekend we are planning on doing the distributing the yard signs as well as dropping our literature to different doors all around Dublin. Again, this is a very big district, so we definitely need a lot of volunteers. So people who are willing to help us out, I would like to request them to go to our website and please sign up or reach out directly through text to me. My number is 614-209-8742. And in addition, the next steps of things, are early voting starts on October 5th. And we will encourage each and every person who are either new to Dublin to, make sure that they are registered voters, as well as, they have signed up or moved their addresses. If they want to do early voting, they can go to 1700 Morris Road in Columbus, Ohio. Early voting starts from October 5th all the way down to November 1st, and November 2nd will be the actual election date, in which the general public can just go to their precincts and vote. In addition, from October 5th onward, we will also do meetups on weekends to kind of drive the voters who do not have rights, or voters who want to just go as a community and experience the early voting experience at the Franklin County Election Board site. We would love to host those events as well. So stay tuned for all those upcoming activities and opportunities to participate. Last but not least, I would say that for the community who are in Dublin and for those who will be who are eligible voter, there are 8 candidates to choose from. I would definitely want each and every candidate, a voter, to look into the credentials, to what values, the candidates have done, or what services they have provided in last, so many years, being a member of, Central Ohio. As I said, like, my record speaks for myself. I've definitely, I believe passionately and spiritually in the passion of service to community, especially to our children, and that is what I'm putting forward. That hopefully the community can see and vote for us, and help us with the opportunity to serve them and serve 17,000 students in equal capacity. So there's no child left behind kind of, aptitude that we can really bring in the culture and the practices of Dublin School District.
Thank you so much, Iman Malik, for joining us on the program today to talk about your candidacy for the Dublin School Board. Like I said, we'll definitely come back to you before the polls to know exactly how much you would have prepared for this race. So once again, thank you so much. We will be having other candidates come here to tell their own story. We are just in the middle and opening the platform for candidates to talk. But feel free to get back to us if there is any information you would want the public to know. So thank you once again.
Thank you, Ernest, for hosting me today, and really look forward to the next time I'm back here, and hopefully we'll have a more positive and more confirmed and convicted news maybe at that time. And yeah, I mean, our campaign looks very good. We have been working in the Dublin community for the last 15, 20 years. Again, at different spectrums of multiculturalism, interfaith, as well as outreach building. And we continue to do that in the school board capacity as well. So again, thank you to all the listeners as well. And, thank you for offering me this opportunity to be here today.
Thank you. Do have a fantastic rest of the weekend, and bye for now.
Thank you. Stay blessed. Take care.
All right. So this is APEX1RADIO. We're broadcasting from the United States of America. We just had Malik Irman. He is one of the candidates for the upcoming elections. So, like I mentioned earlier on, November 2nd will be day for general election in the United States of America. We will have candidates coming to talk on radio prior to that. So we've had the first one today in this maiden edition of 2021 elections menu. So once again, thank you so much. My name is Ernest Kanjo. I will be back probably tomorrow for more on the elections. Thank you so much. Do have a fantastic rest of the weekend. Stay blessed and stay safe.